Good evening, everybody. I'm over here to the Sports Talk Network, specifically tonight for Talking Packers with Steve, here during the 2023 NFL season, telling what was Week 10, what is going to be Week 11, and all that in between. It certainly was an interesting week for me personally. Keep on working, keep on making money in that regard. Also, got my letter in the mail from the Packers, so I was very surprised to see that. Every year I get those little cards, the updates on the where you are on the list, and so out of nowhere getting this big folder. It's like when you go. It's like back when I was AJ's age, or maybe a year younger. But the first time around, when you do applications for college, and you're waiting, you either get small or big envelope. If you get the small one, you already know what's going on. If you get the big one, you know you got to accept it pretty much. Um, so I'm used to all these small ones from Green Bay, um,
hmm
for the season ticket stuff, and this one came out of nowhere because usually each year, um, not that I know it to achieve, but it's usually around my birthday time. Maybe not, but it seems like it is in May or April, March, April, May, one of those 3 months. So it coming out of nowhere here in November, October, November time was surprising. But anyways, it was a nice surprise.
Oh yeah.
Um, so very honored for that. Just wanted to share that. Um, but beyond that, I guess that was my week for sports and personally. Um, AJ, how's your week? How's school? How will those things there in your world?
Uh, just same old. We're getting there. I'm about to head back home for Thanksgiving break, so
Hmm?
leave to get back home Friday. So just ready to get back for a little bit. So, but same old, just grinding through the school, trying to get through the semester. So, um, not too
So
much.
how so how long or officially how long is your break? And it's the holiday break. How long?
Um, it really depends on like when you don't have classes and when you do. Like
Oh,
technically, the break doesn't start till like next Tuesday, but I don't have classes, so I'm leaving Friday, heading back, so I get a whole week at home. So yeah, it's nice.
awesome.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so let's jump in. What was week 10 last week and go through all the games as we usually do. We'll start off with what was the Thursday night game, Carolina, Chicago. The Bears getting a win there, 16-13 in a close one. Then heading into Sunday, uh, in Germany, Colts over the Patriots 10-6. Then moving forward, Browns over the Ravens 33-31. Last second field goal there for
hmm
Cleveland. Steelers over the Packers 23-19 there. And in our game, it was so close and yet so
Yeah.
far. What were your takeaways from Green Bay, Pittsburgh?
Well, we were back to the defense that we hate. Couldn't stop the run at all. It was terrible. It was hard to watch, and mainly the reason that they won. They had the questionable call, which it was clearly he threw it backwards, but don't have to get all into that. It is what it is, man. But Jordan played well. I know he had those two turnovers, but Jordan played well. The line held up. I thought they played pretty well. Um, you know, it's a tough place to play, especially when that defense is at home. They're usually even better. Uh, they they fought and we clawed and we just couldn't get it done. We got to the red zone too many times and finished with field goals and not going to beat them. I get with field goals, obviously, but that loss kind of stunk. But it is what it is. We keep moving. Let's see. We just all that matters this year is seeing what guys can play in the future. So just keep moving.
Understood. Makes sense. Yeah, it was unfortunate what it was. I think Jordan played really well. It's not one of those games where the loss would be squarely on him, like some of them may have been. But this one was more on the defensive side, and um, yeah, our offense not able to get more points and get some more touchdowns. But overall, with with our defense against their offense, we should have been able to do more than what we did. I think that's been the biggest issue in our season so far, is being that defense. We talk about each and every week, basically, with what's going on there on the defensive side of the ball for Green Bay. But anyways, moving forward, the 49ers over the Jaguars, 34-3 in a thumping there. The Minnesota Vikings and Josh Dobbs getting a win over the Saints, 27-19 there. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans getting a win, a second win there in Cincinnati, 30-27 in a big game there. Buccaneers smash and destroy the Titans, 20-6. Lions over the Chargers in a close game, 41-38. Kyler Murray comes back, and the Cardinals get a win, 25-23 over Atlanta. Cowboys demolish the Giants, 49-17. The Seahawks survived the Commanders, 29-26 in their game. The Raiders beat the Jets, 16-12. And maybe the biggest surprise of them all, Denver beating Buffalo, 24-22 on Monday Night Football. I would say the biggest surprise beyond the Broncos beating the Bills is actually how well Tampa Bay did against Tennessee. I predicted Tampa Bay to win. Yeah, sure, but I thought the game would be a lot closer. I thought Tennessee would be a lot harder, even with Will Levis not, the hand. So I thought that game would be closer than it was. Was there a game that surprised you in any way, in any specific way, or not?
It had to be the Texans. There's no doubt. I know the Bengals didn't have T, but it didn't matter. What the Texans did and what they are doing is incredible. It is fun. I think everyone is behind them, honestly. It's just weird because it felt like the Bengals were in that point of the year where they were going to start to take off a little bit. You saw the AFC North teams handle business this weekend, and the Bengals didn't, and they find themselves back at the bottom, and they got a tough stretch. They got Baltimore tomorrow, and Baltimore, huge implications for the North, the playoffs, whatnot. But that was definitely the most surprising to me, just because of the position the Bengals were in and how it's all going down right now. But it'll be interesting down the stretch.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess my honorable mention would be Jacksonville not showing up against San Francisco, but Jaguars, but I thought at least it'd be a close game again, and them getting beat down as they did at home. But anyways, that was what was Week 10 now heading into Week 11, as you were just saying. We have the Bengals versus the Ravens tomorrow night for Thursday Night Football. So I'll throw it to you first. How do you think that will go for Cincinnati on the road at Baltimore?
When these two teams play, it's usually pretty close no matter what, and definitely expect that tomorrow. I think it's my game of the week just because of the implications for how close the North is and for the playoffs. I think the Bengals are going to win. I just think it's a game that the Bengals will play perfect. It's just how it is. Joe plays great in the toughest spots, and he always shines. Jamar has a really good history against the Ravens. T is going to be out again. I expect Jamar to have another big game. It'll be really close. It'll be a dogfight. There's no doubt. The Ravens have been super impressive. I know the Bengals will be down some parts, like Trey Henderson. But I still think the Bengals get it done. It'll be really close. And if they don't, they're going to be right on that line of on the brink of the playoffs or not, just because of how the AFC is. But I'm going to roll with the Bengals tomorrow.
Yeah, me as well. I'm going with the Bengals getting the win on the road, whether it's a last-second field goal or win by 10 points. I think the Bengals have a big game in the sense of where they belong and where they feel they can be, not just in the division, but in the AFC as a whole. Being the Bengals that I expected them to be from the start of the season. It is unfortunate, how things have gone for them so far, and I think they were just, starting to get back to their normal state of things, but now, another big game here against Baltimore, I think we'll be able to show that, they are really back to being the Bengals. I want to talk about that division. Well, we continue to. We have the Steelers against the Browns in a big matchup there in Cleveland. I'm sure you heard AJ, as most of the NFL fandom has. Deshaun Watson, season-ending surgery. He'll be out for the year. That changes things, maybe not too much for me. I'm going to predict the Steelers. I was going to predict the Steelers whether Deshaun was in or Deshaun out, even more so now. Though I do respect who the Browns have a backup because he played lights out during the preseason, and I certainly was championing for him for different reasons at that time. But still, I'm going to go with the Steelers. Their defense, again, as we talked about for our preview last week, the Steelers should be worse, but the coach that they have, the defensive players, even more so than the offense, lends me to believe that they are just going to keep clawing and surviving these games, so to speak. So I'm going to go Steelers over the Browns, 27-13 there. But what say you there to happen in Cleveland?
Yeah, another big blow for the Browns. Obviously, it's obviously always tough for the Browns fans. It just seems like it's always something. I'm going Pittsburgh too, and I expect a huge drop off now for the Browns. It sucks, but it's just how it goes in the NFL. Deshaun's been maybe the worst decision of the Browns organization. I don't know. I mean, you pay a guy that much and he's hardly on the field. When he is on the field, I mean, it's nothing special. I'm going Pittsburgh this week, and just gotta feel for the Browns fans out there, man. It's going to be a rough stretch now down the stretch, I assume, and starts this week with Pittsburgh.
Agreed. Moving forward, we got the Las Vegas Raiders up against the Miami Dolphins. They're in Miami. I know some people are saying that this could be like what was the Denver-Miami game when Miami was facing the other AFC West team. But what say you? How do you think things would be going for the Raiders there in Miami?
Well, luckily for the Dolphins, they're the best team in the league against average teams. So I think it continues this week. I expect them to come out of the bye and put up a lot of points like they do against every mediocre team they play. Another big game for Tyreek, another big game for Tua. The Raiders are playing really hard under their new interim coach. Another win, good for them. But they're not. I don't see them winning in Miami, especially out of the bye. Dolphins will handle business.
Agreed. Same here. Maybe not putting a 50 burger on them like they did with Denver, but I still see a big win for them. I'm going to go 35-17, and their Dolphins getting a win over Vegas. I mean, I remember they still have their rookie quarterback. Kind of being their quarterback, for the rest of the season, sitting Garoppolo. So, that factors in immensely in its own right. Next up is the battle of two teams from the mighty NFC North. We have the Chicago Bears facing up against the division leaders currently, Detroit Lions. They're in Detroit. I guess I'll go first here. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions getting the win. And even though it is a divisional battle, so, never say never. At least from what I was hearing, it's still going to be the rookie quarterback starting for Chicago. Maybe not. But I think no matter what, the Lions defense, it is going to be too much for Chicago, let alone the running game of Detroit's. So I'm going to go Lions over the Bears 27-20 there in that game. What say you happening in Detroit?
Well, I think I was seeing tweets today that actually Justin will be playing this week. So, I mean, it changes some things, but I still think the Lions win. I think this game is closer than what people will think just because of they're coming from playing at the Chargers and then they're coming back, play Chicago. Just feels like a letdown game a little bit. I don't expect them to lose, but I do feel like there's a little drop off and they won't perform as well. I like the Lions still, but I do expect this to be a little closer than what people might think. But I'm going with Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with divisional games. Even if they lose, you wouldn't be that shocked, but it still would be some surprising at some level. That's what I mean there. And even more divisional game, we have the Tennessee Titans going to Jacksonville to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. There, I'm going to go with the Jaguars over the Titans, like 27-24, close game. At least I've given the Titans more respect than they should be earning in regards to the last few games that they've had, score-wise and play-wise. Jacksonville, kind of Jekyll and Hyde in regards to they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, but not play up to the caliber when they're facing the great teams. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars getting the win here, 27-13, that kind of score.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see happen there in Jacksonville, Florida?
I think the Jags trounce them. The Titans. I just feel like they're in that part of their season where it's starting to just fall apart a little bit. I mean, the record already wasn't great, but you switch to a rookie quarterback, and there's going to be highs and lows, but there's most likely going to be more lows, and you don't just put back in the other guy. You usually stick with the guy that you replace him with for a while, and I think it's going to continue. I think the Jags are going to bounce back after that dreadful performance they put on this weekend. I think they figure it back out on offense, on defense, play a complete game, and they put it to the Titans.
And moving right along to our game, being a noon game, we got the Chargers against the Packers. I guess to ask you first in regards to keys to victory, what do you see that we need to do to be able to stop the Chargers and get a win beyond prediction?
Well, stop the run. If they let Eckler get loose, it's going to be a horrible day. I mean, Najee and Jalen Warren were running all over us, so I can't even imagine what Austin Eckler might do this weekend. Honestly, I'm terrified for it. I don't know. The Steelers can't pass the ball, so you couldn't really tell how the corners really played. But, I mean, overall, they played pretty well, I thought, in covering. I know it's Kenny Pickett, but it'll be a different animal this weekend with Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, slow down the run. We got to deal with two dudes over there on their defense. We got to somehow block Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it, honestly. I mean, I feel like one of them will have a big day. But if we slow down the run, and we can run the ball and control the time of possession and limit their possessions, then we got a shot. But if the Chargers just have the ball all day, they're going to score, especially on our defense. There's no doubt. So if we stop the run, control time of possession, then we might have a shot. But I'm going with the Chargers. It wouldn't surprise me. Packers are back home. Weather could be bad, and the Chargers are coming to Lambeau. Justin Herbert's never played in any sort of weather, I don't think, in his whole career. I hope it's a blizzard. I hope it comes down and we win the game like 9-6, whatever it is. But I'm going to go with the Chargers. I do think it's a little closer for a little bit, but if the Chargers have the ball more time than we do, they're going to score way more points than we do. Their offense is explosive, so I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I respect that. I agree with every point you made there in regards to the Chargers and how they could beat us up. And I'm not questioning it, and I'm not counter-arguing it. Mm-hmm. I'm just still picking our Packers. And to get a win somehow, whether it's weather-wise, otherwise, maybe by the grace of the good Lord above, getting some interceptions that are less earned, more of going through the receiver's hands sort of interceptions. Luck, I guess you can say, but still have to be there to get them. So, however, and why ever, I'm going to go with the Packers over the Chargers in a close game, 19-13 there for the win there. Moving right along, we have Kyler Murray versus C.J. Stroud. The Arizona Cardinals facing off against the Houston Texans. Here you can kind of throw the records out, at least in my opinion, with having those two quarterbacks facing off against each other. In Houston, this is a different Texans team. As much as this one was a game of the week candidate for me. Mm-hmm. But my point is, I'm going to Houston, and my second point is this game could be a game of the week, even with what Arizona's record is. Even if in the end Texans destroy them. Either way, heading into the game, it could be a grand matchup. It could be one of those. What was that? Rams Chiefs games when Goff was still with the team, and the Rams, and was it 56-54? I'm not saying it's going to be that. I'm just saying it could be that type of game with those two quarterbacks. But anyways, my prediction is Houston to get the win at home, 27-13. My point is just being, don't be 100% fooled with Arizona's record. They do play tough, and Kyler is back. Mm-hmm. What is your thoughts on that? rather than the Cardinals, let alone the game in itself in Houston?
Well, I think we find out a lot this week about the Texans. They coming off two huge wins, two great performances. It just feels like a letdown game going back home against a much lesser opponent than what they've faced the past 2 weeks.
Mhm.
I definitely think we find out a lot about them. Young teams that start to win, sometimes they get complacent, comfortable. I don't think they do that with CJ. I really don't see that happening. I just think CJ is on a different level right now. I think that offense is on a different level. They've showed that they're explosive. I do think this is a close game because I do think that letdown factor will be in. This is my letdown game of the week. I'm going with the Texans, but
Mhm.
I would not be I would not be surprised if the Cardinals win this game. I mean, Texans are a young team and they're riding the high horse right now, and they just beat two good teams in right at the buzzer both weeks. So it's gonna be tough. I do think this is a tough game for the Texans, but I think they pull it out. I think CJ has another great game. I think Kyler plays great. Texans defense isn't good. It's not that great, and I think Kyler plays well, but I'm going with Texans in a close one.
Moving right along to the next game, a game I don't think either of us are going to think is a close game, and that's the Cowboys and Panthers in Carolina. For me, I'm going Cowboys over the Panthers, like a 35-3 kind of final, unfortunately. Don't see in any way Panthers being I don't see in any category the Panthers being better than Dallas. In any.
No.
Unfortunately. Let's say they're not going to play hard, but I'm going to go with Dallas beating the Panthers.
Yeah.
I would say you there in Carolina.
Yeah, definitely going with Dallas. Another quarterback that's on a tear right now. Dak's playing out of his mind. CD's playing out of his mind. They're playing well. I mean, they're another one of those teams that haven't really beat anybody that's good. But when they play teams like this, they're going to light up the scoreboard. There's no doubt. Definitely going Dallas. There's not much to it. They're the better team. They're way better than Carolina. So I'm going with Dallas.
In regards to that division, in regards to the Cowboys division, we got the New York Football Giants going up against the Washington Commanders. They're in Washington. So first here, I'm going to go with the Commanders getting the win in a close, low-scoring game. Maybe like you were talking about earlier, what you were hoping for the Packers if they survived. 9-6 kind of win over the Giants. You got DeVito, they're the quarterback for the Giants, so you never know against Sam Howell. But I am going to officially predict the Commanders. What say you here in this battle in the division?
Yeah, I'm going Commanders too. The Giants are bad. They are really bad. They are horrible to watch. It's turning into a mess over there, and it is what it is. They got quarterback problems. They got a lot of problems, but their problems continue this week with the Commanders. The Commanders are an offense that can actually light up the scoreboard, and Giants cannot. So if Commanders start scoring early, they're just going to run away with it, which is kind of what I expect. I'm going with the Commanders.
Another game that could be a shootout. It could be a good game. But you never know because the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, faced up against the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. AJ, what say you happening there for your team there where you are now, but your Buccaneers faced up against the 49ers?
Well, I think the 49ers came out of that bye just pissed off, to be quite honest. They get Chase Young with Nick, and those two looked unstoppable in the first game, and I just think it's going to continue and continue and continue as the season goes on. And I think the 49ers put together another performance. Christian McCaffrey didn't score a touchdown this week. I expect him to have a big game now, to be quite honest. The defense plays great. They run the ball. Purdy looks like the Purdy we all knew. 49ers, I think, will trounce another team on their way just to getting hot. I'm going with the 49ers.
Buccaneers being a good team, and my belief in Baker and all that. But the 49ers, it seems like they're, some people call it, but 49ers being in like their final form. Like they got their pieces. They're figuring things out. The first half of the season hasn't been perfect, but obviously great record. Trying to be the kings of the NFC. But they're the Eagles and other teams. So I'm I think with the pieces that they got from the trade deadline, plus having that bye week when they did, now moving forward, be able to be a team to just run away with things, get maybe even a big winning streak heading into the playoffs, and go from there. Maybe be that team that can knock off the Eagles, right? That list of teams, who do you think can knock off the Eagles? I think the 49ers should be the top of that list. But yes, I'm going with the 49ers as well. 27-13 type of win. My prediction for score here in this game. Moving forward, we got an AFC battle here with the New York Football Jets against the Buffalo Bills. Two teams that are, who knows, really, where they're headed. The Bills coming off a tough loss we talked about earlier against Denver. The Jets just hoping and praying they're in somewhat playoff position if Aaron does return later in the season in December. But AJ, what say you here in this divisional matchup in Buffalo?
Yeah, I thought the Jets ended their season this past weekend. You can't lose to the Raiders. Not when you know what the situation you're in. You got to win as many games as you possibly can, beat the bad teams, just compete with the good teams. Hopefully you pull it out until Aaron comes back. They haven't been able to do that, and I think the Raiders' loss just puts an end to it all, quite honestly. They're going to lose this week to the Bills. I know the Bills are the most disappointing team in the NFL by far, I think, in my opinion. No, I'm not impressed. I think Josh Allen is overrated. To be quite honest, people freak out about the big arm, how big he is. The dude is a walking turnover. People want to, just gash Dak week after week after his turnovers. Well, Josh Allen has the most turnovers in the league. He's had the most turnovers in the league for the past however many seasons. It just keeps continuing. It doesn't make any sense. We all need to really reflect on Josh Allen right now. But I think the Bills, they definitely win this week against the Jets. I do expect it to be low scoring just because of that Jets defense. And you don't know with this Bills offense now with their new OC. I do think the Bills pull it out, though.
Yeah, I think the Bills survive as well. And the Jets, they're just going turmoil. I don't know if they're going to be able to get enough wins to be able to make it worth the while for Aaron Rodgers to return. Because the only reason I see him to return is if obviously they're in playoff contention beyond just getting the okay from the coach and the doctors, which obviously will give him that if he wants it. And it is amazing, though, how fast he's recovered and all that. But the Jets aren't in playoff contention. He'll sit himself out. I'm going to be ready for next season, whatever that'll be. I found out something interesting. I don't know if it's true. I could just be believing something I read. So you let me know if you saw this too on social media. But the Packers will face the team from that division, if whatever team that equals them in record. And right now it's the Jets, and the game would be at home in Green Bay. So having Packers coming back to Green Bay, if both teams stay third in their division, or both are,
I think it's very likely.
So
very likely.
That'd be very interesting to have that earlier than expected, and
that'd be great.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be awesome.
I know this is kind of getting off topic, obviously, but just makes me think. What were your honest thoughts that first game we saw Brett Favre come in with the Minnesota Viking logo at Lambeau?
Well, that's a long time for me. I was pretty young, but seeing videos and how people reacted and whatnot is it's definitely weird. And I think what Brett did was a little different. He kind of left with some turmoil. He didn't like Aaron that much, and he was kind of arrogant and wanted to give it to the Packers. Really, I don't think it's like that for Aaron. There's people that when Aaron decided and whatnot, they freaked out and had opinions about him. But it's Aaron. Aaron gave everything he had to Green Bay, and there's no doubt he is a Packer forever. The second he entered the league, it'll be different when he comes back in the Lambeau. That place, they'll be happy. There's no doubt they'll be happy to see him on the same field. And I feel like everyone will be behind them. That game will definitely be fun. I hope it happens. Um, that I might make that my first game in Lambeau. That'd be great. But no, but it'd be awesome. I think they'll give a nice tribute to Aaron, everything he's done for coming back. But yeah, man, that game will be fun. There's no doubt. Jordan against Aaron, however it goes, whatever. Those two battling out back in Lambeau will be great.
Right, and happening like I said earlier than I expected it to happen, but that'd be kind of cool. I know I quote tweeted that tweet that I bringing this all up in general, saying, yeah, that'd be fun for one of my, for my in regards to being a season ticket holder or whatever, being one of the games and going and being against Rodgers and the Jets, and how fun that would be and interesting to see how everybody reacts, and crowd reaction and all that or whatnot and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be certainly fun and interesting in its own right. But anyways, moving on, because we still have a couple games here left to predict. And moving forward in the schedule, 3:25 kickoff, Seattle Seahawks, LA Rams. LA Rams at home here, a battle. I'm going to go with the Seahawks getting the win, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won. But I'm going with Seattle over LA Rams, 27-23. But what say you happening in LA?
Yeah, the Rams are getting back two important pieces. They get Stafford back and Kyron Williams, the running back. I do think this game is really close. I'm going with Seattle. The Rams, they're not really playing for too much, and Seattle knows that they got to handle business because they're right on that fine line with San Francisco. So I'm going with Seattle in a close one.
And moving right along with the Sunday night football game, for these, last week the primetime games might not have been the best. And I don't just mean about how the play went. I just meant heading into them, let alone what actually happened. But this week we got Bengals Ravens tomorrow. We got the Vikings Broncos for Sunday night, and then we got the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl rematch for Monday night. So for me, the game of the week is the Sunday night game that we are going to be predicting here: the Minnesota Vikings against the Denver Broncos. Broncos coming off a big win, actually beating two great teams the last few weeks, beating Kansas City and Buffalo, beating Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and now against Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. Dobbs might not be on their level regard to quarterbacks, but his play, being dubbed the Pastronaut, there in Minnesota, lends himself to a lot of bravado and credo there, and I respect it immensely, even though it is the Minnesota Vikings. So, but in this matchup, and again, like I said before, I'm very happy for Josh, even if he's not going to be the future of the Vikings. I'm very happy for his run here. Anyways, my prediction: Minnesota Vikings to get the win over the Denver Broncos on the road. Vikings getting the win, 17-9 type of score here or there in Denver. Being my prediction there. What say you to happen in Denver?
Yeah, I think the luck runs out this week for Dobbs. The Sean Payton Broncos are playing like I expected the Sean Payton Broncos to the whole year. Russ is playing like Russ. Russ is starting to cook. Sunday night game after two great wins, that place will be excited to have the Broncos back for a Sunday night game, primetime game. I think the Broncos continue what they're doing. They'll handle business against Minnesota. I don't think the Vikings will be able to score. Honestly, the Broncos have held the Chiefs and now the Bills, and I think it will continue. So I'm going with the Broncos.
Yeah, you never know, really. And especially like you said, they kind of find the swagger, especially beating the teams that they have against those offenses. So that defense, believing they can beat anybody. So even with the Josh Dobbs experience coming through, could be ready to do well. So here we are with the Super Bowl rematch and the final game for week number 11. Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. This one was really hard for me to predict. And I kind of was overthinking it because I was trying to think, to be quite honest, anything but either of them to be in the Super Bowl. But even being their number one in conferences. But in the end, I picked the lesser of two evils, and I went the Eagles for the win. And my prediction, Eagles to get the win, 35-33 type of score, but heavy hitting. But what say you happening in Kansas City in the Super Bowl rematch battle?
I'm going with the Chiefs again. I think the Chiefs got a lot to prove this week. I think they're going to remind a lot of people who they are and the team that they are. They're a great team. They can be a great team. They can beat a great team. I expect Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce to put on one of their performances again. Philadelphia's defense is not great, and I think the Chiefs are going to exploit that a little bit. The Chiefs, they haven't looked like the Chiefs much this year, and they're coming out of a bye, and I fully expect Andy Reid to have this team ready. Chiefs defense is the most underrated, I think, in the league. They play great. I think they're going to hold the Eagles under – I think the Eagles score probably like 20 points, maybe under, even just right at the line. I think the Chiefs, they win this game, and they let teams know that they're still the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs. And I'm going with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in this one at home.
Yeah, I could respect that. And before we move on further, for you, AJ, what would you say out of these games in the Week 11 is your official game of the week?
Which one did I say? Oh, my game of the week was the Bengals Ravens.
The first game.
That one tomorrow. I just think the implications that it has on the North and playoff seeding down the stretch is huge. These teams already played each other once, and the Bengals were in that point of the season where Joe was still beat up and offense wasn't great, coming off of a loss. And this, honestly, just how tough the AFC is. This kind of feels like a must-win for the Bengals. The Bengals can bounce back if they lose and they drop to 5-5, but it's not really what you want to do, because then you're getting on that fine line of being a wild card team, and you got to travel to some tough places to play. And the Bengals really haven't had a home field advantage for the playoffs. So, they kind of got screwed over last year with the DeMar Hamlin thing, and then they had to travel to the Bills and then Kansas City. So I feel like, the Bengals definitely want to have some home playoff games. And this is a type of win that you got to have so you can have that. And I think the Bengals handle business tomorrow.
Yep. I respect that. Yeah, I think I forgot that because, that's so early here in the picture.
Yeah.
But no, hey, I respect that because that definitely is a big game, and it certainly will be interesting to see how that all goes down tomorrow night already in the start of what is Week 11. So before we head out, AJ, any last words, and of course promoting where people can find you as always.
Well, find me AJLer1 on Twitter and Instagram. I've actually been kind of slacking on Twitter recently, but this week for the Steelers game, I was back on there. Just felt like I just had to let some stuff out. That defense was not making me happy. But yeah, it's where you can find me. Hopefully the Packers handle business, man. Just go Pack, go.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's certainly going to be an interesting game, nonetheless. But anyways, thanks everybody for stopping in. Just if you did get some traffic as we go through this episode, as we do for each and every episode, then more so after it does post on the channel. But I do think those that share it and do let others know about it, whether in my personal life or just in general, they're out there, YouTube land. But from AJ and from myself, above all else, as always, take care.